Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio. If you miss a show, you can listen again on Wreaths Across America Radio every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to see if you are on target. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
And welcome to the Tracer Rounds podcast. And I'm Terry, your host. And I am traditionally on a Tuesday, but we have a special guest that a Sunday worked best for her. So we're on Sunday. And welcome, Tia.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate any chance I get to share a platform with somebody to speak about the things that we're about to speak about today.
I'm so excited to have you, because my uncles used to tell me that I'd be one of the first ladies in racing because I always loved motorcycles. I loved cars of any kind. I could tell you just about any car back in the day, what make, what model, just about anything about it because cars were just my thing. So I haven't lost that love now. I think that's 4x4s and trucks, but I'm so excited to hear more about your car, drifting and everything else. But first of all, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about your military service, maybe how many years you did and maybe your job specialty or maybe some assignments that were exciting or you learned a lot or you really enjoyed?
Absolutely. Yeah, I joined back in 2001, which feels like a lifetime ago. So I did 4 years, just shy of 4 years. I ended up getting medically discharged, and that actually took almost a year. So I did 3 years where I was actively, training as a soldier, and then I did a year of out processing through the med board process. But I went to basic at Fort Jackson, often called Relaxin' Jackson.
Me too.
Was not very relaxing. We got a hardcore female drill sergeant that had something to prove, I guess. It was great though. Like when I was 19, I was all about the hardcore exercise, playing football, shooting guns. So like it was not easy, but for me it was exciting. It was challenging, and I always love a challenge. I sure miss my body being able to go through all that stuff because it was a very physical time. I'd say one of my favorite travels I got to do was living in Korea for a year. it was, I love the culture. I love the food. I love the scenery. It was very mountainous where I was, and there were definitely some good qualities about it. We had a lot of nights where we were doing karaoke and going and exploring what Korea had to offer with some of my battle buddies. But we did end up being there during some major protesting, so we were very limited on our freedom while we were there. I'd say close to 10 out of the 12 months I was there, there was protests. So we were kind of locked down on the base for the majority of the time I was there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that doesn't let you get to travel outside and see much of anything, does it?
Yeah, we had one bar on post and it was packed every night.
I bet it was. You know,
uh,
I went to Fort Jackson too, and I had male drill sergeants, but there was a third drill sergeant that wasn't there, and it was a female. And the female, she was away at some kind of training, and so she came back to visit. And when she came back to visit, she smoked us so hard. Like we were like, I am glad you are not here, is what we were thinking in our heads. We didn't say it out loud because we didn't dare say anything to cross her because she was tough. And I was like, I don't need this. I don't want this. And so what we found out too is she said, well, I'm female, so I know what you can take. They don't. So man, she smoked us hard. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you are not here.
I figured it was more of a like I feel like guys think that they're gonna get away with more because they have a female drill sergeant, so they go like twice as hard. Cause I would look over at the other platoons and be like, why aren't they getting smoked every day? What's happening? Like what is going on? She was rough, and I thought she hated me. And the day after we graduated and all the parents got to talk to the drill sergeants and stuff, and she told my dad, she said, she's one of the best soldiers I've ever had. And I just looked at her like, what the hell? Like, why did you treat me so bad then?
Right? Why did you make me think I was the worst?
I know. I felt like I was struggling and I was not impressing anybody. I tried. I tried. I did. I killed it. Like all through basic, most of my military career. I pushed harder than anybody I know because 20, what was that? Over 20 years ago. I don't know how it is now, but the military was just not very female friendly. A lot of the guys that I was in with didn't like were very outspoken about how they didn't think that I belonged there, that I should just go home because I wasn't going to be able to keep up and blah, blah 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 whatever. So I hoofed it. I made sure I had the cleanest truck. I made sure I was running the fastest runs, doing the most sit-ups. I made sure I was out there killing it, and it still didn't seem to impress. So I thought if I really worked hard that they would give me the respect that I deserved. And I think that was the hardest part for me about my time in service was just not feeling like I was respected no matter how hard I worked.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to work through over the years is learning that when you get treated like that, it's not because you're not doing enough. It's not because you're not enough. It's because someone has a chip on their shoulder. Um, and so luckily I've made it through a lot of that stuff, but it was a great experience overall. It was a very hard experience, but it was a great experience because I learned a lot about being dedicated to what you're doing, no matter how hard it is. I got to make some of the closest friends, our battle buddies as we call them. And there were a lot of guys that were, not nice, but there were some that they treated me like their sister. I know they would have took a bullet for me in a heartbeat. And that was a good feeling, coming from a troubled childhood, teenhood, or whatever. Definitely I think it grew my self-esteem a little bit while I was in it, just doing all the things, proving how strong you really are, because it's
Yeah.
not for the weak. It's definitely not.
No, it really isn't. And I agree. I had some that were like, "Why are you here?" And Dawson Edwards was he does Operation Song for
Yes.
writing
Yeah.
a song for veterans. And so the song he wrote for me is called "A Girl Like You." And that was the first thing somebody said to me when I was on the delayed entry program, and we were all at a dinner and we were at a banquet, and we were just like meeting up with our recruiters and all getting together, and they were just preparing us for, you know, travel to basic training basically. And so guys said, "What are you doing here? What's a girl like you doing here?" And I'm like, I don't know what that's supposed to
The
mean, is what I'm
same thing
thinking.
you are. I want to serve my country, and we're supposed to be a team. You
Right.
know, I think that was a big issue that I had as I went into it thinking because I was wearing the same uniform that I was going to get treated the same as everybody else. I've always been a tomboy. I've always had mostly male friends, so I feel like I just kind of feel like I should fit in. I don't see myself as a 5'3" blonde female. More of
Right.
like a little pit bull, you know? So like I just assumed it was going to be like a big family, and there was quite a few that were, you know,
Yeah.
and those were the people that helped get me through it cuz you know, if you only had those people that were trying to hold you back, it would be absolutely miserable. So, it's a mix. Like honest review. Being a woman in the military, I've heard great things about the Air Force.
Right, right. Me too. Me too. If my boys ask what branch that they should go into, I always say, "Well, Air Force. They'll treat you better. You live larger. You'll."
Yeah, I think everything I've heard, the barracks is nice, the food is great.
And they're always near a golf course.
Oh, I haven't heard that one before, but it makes sense. It goes with everything.
Right. So Eva is one of our hosts from Pain to Purpose, and she said she needs to come to Rally for Vets. Have you done that before?
No.
Eva just got done with that. Maybe she can hook you up with what that is all about. She did a live from there. I think it was last weekend, and so
Where
she
is that
can.
at?
She is in the DC area, but I think she would travel down to Virginia. I don't know. She can tell us
Okay.
exactly where that was because I'm not 100% sure. Um, so I was going to ask you, what was your military job in
Oh,
the
yeah, I was in communications, so I set up
communication?
antennas out in the field.
So did you carry the radio or you're just doing antennas?
We set up the antennas, and
Yeah.
the radio was actually in a big box that sat on the back of the Humvee.
Mhm.
Luckily there was a benefit of being a really short female. I was the only person that could stand up in the box,
Oh,
and I bragged about it every day. I was like, "Yep, look at you all hunched over. You're not making fun of me for being short right now, are you?"
right. You had that benefit. That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Yeah, the radios were like so outdated, and like I think a lot of them had a lot of problems, and there was a little hammer that sat next to the radio, and I was like, "What's the hammer for?" And they're like, "Oh, that's to fix the radio. If it's not working, just hit it like 3 times on the side of the box." And I'm like, "That just doesn't sound like that's how you should fix something." They're like, "Yeah, well,
Definitely
these
not.
things are from the '60s. What do you expect?"
That's funny. To fix it is a hammer.
Yep, that little mini hammer, just hit it a couple times, it'll be fine.
That's funny. You were mentioning that, you didn't know if the service had kind of transitioned to be more female friendly. Well, I got out in 2024 in December, and I would say when the new uniforms came in, that's when they finally the new battle dress uniform when that one came in, the ACUs. That was the first one that actually they tailored to females.
Oh, nice. It
The
only
very
took them how
first
many
one.
years?
Right, yeah, because I was in 33.5 years, and only the last, like, 3 years did they actually have a utility uniform that you could actually buy for females, so it actually fit your waist, it actually fit, the jacket top actually fit, because it needed to flare out a little bit more, for females than it did males on the end of
Yeah,
it, so
yeah.
that was the first time they ever really had besides, obviously, the Class A uniform, obviously, that was, set to fit females, but the utility uniform was never set to fit females, but they finally made one that did fit. And I was like, wow, it's about time. I'm just ready to get out. And now I got a uniform that'll work for me.
Yeah, I remember the pants because I have a very curvy figure. Like my hips are really wide and my waist is really narrow.
Mhm.
And I remember they gave me pants that would fit my waist, and I was like, these aren't gonna work. Like I need it a lot bigger. And then when I got the bigger pants, I had the waist cinched up so much. It was just like wrinkled around the whole entire waist. And
Yep.
whenever I had to tuck my brown t-shirt in, everybody was like, "What's wrong with your pants?" And I was like, that's what I had to do to get it to fit around the butt, man. I don't know what to tell you.
The struggle is real.
So I'm glad that they have taken care of that.
They finally have. It's amazing. I was like, wow, finally a uniform that's for females and that actually will fit a female. That's awesome.
That's great. Well, they're doing some things then.
They are. I think we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back. And then we'll talk about how you transition from soldier to driver. So we're going to play Dawson Edwards' Earnhardt Fast. Here we go.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And we're back on Military Broadcast Radio, and this is the Tracer Rounds podcast on a Sunday. And this is my guest, Tia May. I'm so happy to have you on the broadcast because I'm so enamored with what you're able to do. So I know that you were in the military, you transitioned out because of some medical things. And then what did you do?
So I got out, it's pretty much right after I got out, I ended up having my first daughter. And so life kind of went into focus on my daughter at that time. And I worked a few jobs here and there, never really finding anything that I had any passion for, you know. So it's skipping around to a lot of different things until I moved to Nashville, I say about 2011, I believe. I'd always been an artist my entire life. It was always my biggest hobby, passion. And so I came to Nashville to try to pursue an art career. I wanted to see if I could turn it into something that was, you know, that I could live off of, that I could just enjoy doing. And I did really do that for at least a decade. I'd say close to 13 years. I was still limited because after the military, I was considered disabled. Finding out, it took about 12 years, but I found out I have an autoimmune disorder. And I'm guessing it was triggered by a lot of the shots and stuff that we acquired in the military, because everything kind of fell apart pretty quickly after I received the ones to go to Korea.
Yeah.
So I'm basically disabled and just doing art on the side. And it was about 3 years ago, I lost the use of my hands. My hands have slowly been losing function because of the autoimmune disorder. It affects all my joints. And at this moment, pretty much all of my joints are no longer have any soft tissue. So there's no padding. So every movement that I make is bone on bone. So as you can imagine, it's extremely painful. So I started to realize that only 30 minutes into doing a drawing or a painting or even tattooing, I learned how to tattoo right before I lost my hands. It got to where I could only do it for like 30 minutes at a time. And if I did push myself, my hands would be so painful to the point where I actually started researching having them amputated.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
the pain was like, I started looking into like they can actually do hand transplants. So I was like researching getting them amputated, getting hand transplants, anything I could do to try to continue using my hands in that way. But that's kind of a big that's a huge decision. I've been trying to find some natural ways. I started doing stem cell therapy recently to try to get back some of the use of my hands. But that was one of the hardest things I ever went through, but also one of the biggest blessings because it pushed me back into the car community, which I gave up in my 20s. Short, right around the time I had my daughter, I kind of pulled away from the car community. And I figured that driving was one of the last things I could do on just about any day, no matter how much pain I'm in. I can hold a steering wheel. So I kind of started getting into my head about what about racing? Like maybe I can try to pursue racing as my big passion project.
Right.
And so I did. I had actually found the TRSCCA at Cars and Coffee because I'm a regular at Nashville Cars and Coffee. It is one of the greatest car meets ever. There's so many cars. It's at the Nashville Super Speedway, so there's so much parking. And the community is amazing. Once you get to going regularly, then you start running into so many people that you know, and it's such a delight to run into all these people that are excited to see you.
Right.
So I walked up to the TRSCCA tent and I asked them, I said, what do I need to do to race? And they said, well, you need a helmet and you need a car. And I was like, well, does my car have to have anything done to it? I just assumed. Didn't really know anything about racing, other than like street racing, which I don't do anymore. But they said, no, you don't. You can have your car can be completely stock. They have different categories for different levels of cars. And so I was like, well, I think I talked to them in February, and the next month went to my first autocross race. I did 3 events and I absolutely loved it. Other than the fact that I'm extremely neurodivergent, where I have trouble with focus, and the cones in autocross are extremely hard for me to handle. It's too much. There's hundreds of these cones every which way. And so not only did I have problems with my car, my car's 2012 GTI is the one I use for autocross. Planning on turning it into a road course car just because I do struggle with the autocross stuff. But yeah, it was just too difficult to deal with all the cones. Like I did great. I didn't hit any cones. I just knew that I wasn't fast. I wasn't driving as fast as I could because I was so focused on these cones. Like
Yeah.
it was such a distraction. I wasn't really enjoying the drive as much because I was so stressed out about it. But my car did start having some issues after 3 events, and this was about 3 years ago. I started this, and it was it felt like fate. You know, people talk about fate sometimes, and so I pulled over, parked my car. It was leaking. It was beeping. It was just a mess.
Oh
So
no.
I saw that there was this guy drifting on this like course. And I was like, it's kind of like it's set up as an autocross course, but he was drifting through it. And so I went over to him and I was like, "Can I ride in your car? Like that looks like so much fun." And he was like, "Absolutely." And his car needed to cool down at the time, so I just sat there just anxiously waiting with my helmet for probably 40 minutes for
Oh,
for his car to cool down. And I'm telling you, we got in that car, it was life changing. Like it was one of those things where you just go, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like I don't need anything else to make me happy. And it's been that way for 3 years.
oh
I've
wow.
been to countless events in the last 3 years. I've saved all of my wristbands cuz it just means every event means so much to me. Just because of how much impact the motorsports community has had on my life. You know, not only is it great mentally, I think of it as a great therapy outlet for me, because it gives me all of the adrenaline, the dopamine, every good chemical your brain makes. I think it just dumps it in there to where I can be happy and more focused. I always have something to look forward to, and that's kind of where the veteran stuff came into play. Was I don't have a whole lot of money to put into this.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of veterans, especially the ones that are disabled like myself, we're living on limited income. And so I immediately wanted to figure out a way to make it more accessible to veterans. Um, and I had seen several programs. You know, I started researching vets and motorsports. And there's programs all over the United States, but Nashville has a gap. Like this Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, this whole area right here, they just don't have any resources for veterans as far as the motorsports community. So I figured that was my calling to make it happen and fill in the gap. And it has been such an amazing journey. It's been hard. I have been huffing it for the last 3 years trying to get sponsors on board, trying to get vehicles, trying to get mechanics, because I'm, you know, me being disabled, I can't work on the cars. I would love to. I would love to build a car from the ground up. Um, so it's a big job to find a bunch of people that want to volunteer their time and their money. But I
Right.
think just here recently, it feels like the doors are kind of flying open. So I'm very hopeful that the spring season of 2026 is going to be absolutely amazing.
That's amazing. So you said that you're starting this I guess I'm saying a nonprofit racing.
So I don't have it in me right now. Like I don't have the time and I don't have the focus. I would love to have my own nonprofit. That's been something that's weighed on me forever. But knowing your strengths and weaknesses and knowing when to say no is something I've been working on. So I thought to myself, why not partner with a nonprofit that's already in place, so they handle all, you know, all the runnings of the nonprofit, and I just run this motorsports program. And so I'm actually in the process of partnering with Check a Vet, which is a nonprofit for veterans.
Yeah.
They do a lot of awareness about PTSD and noticing the signs and symptoms, so people know, you know, how to check on veterans that may look like they're okay, but there are signs that they may need some resources.
Yeah. Some people don't talk about their struggles. They just, do the silent nod. Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Yep,
And they
I'm fine.
don't, yeah, exactly. And they don't really tell you what's going on until you find out later that they're really struggling.
Yeah.
Um, So this program, how many have you been able to engage in this program, and what have you seen as an outcome of this work in trying to get disabled veterans or just veterans in general into this racing?
Well, I usually have up to 10 at each event. And that's only because I'm doing this by myself right now. I don't have a team. I don't, for the most part, I set up my tent, my table, and handle all the runnings of the program by myself, which I'm hoping that's going to change going into the spring, because I'm not going to lie, I'm worn out. Like, it's a lot. And I'm also trying to become a full-time driver. So I'm obviously not going to be able to run the tent or do all of the interactions while I'm trying to drive. So building a team moving forward is definitely a priority. But yeah, it's been, I mean, I know I've worked with probably a couple hundred veterans, and it's been absolutely so rewarding. I mean, every single veteran comes out. I make sure they don't pay for their tickets. They don't pay for anything. I provide food. I provide drinks. Sometimes I'm able to get golf carts, so they have a way to get around the track, because I know a lot of them are disabled and aren't able to walk around as easily. So if I can get them donated, I get golf carts. I do a walkthrough first thing in the morning and introduce them to all the drivers, mostly drifting, because that's where 90% of all my focus is at. And I've just met so many drivers that it's just a really good outlet for me. So I do like a little meet and greet. I walk them through the pits. They get to see all the different cars. They get to ask questions with the drivers. And I show them which drivers I would personally approve for them to take rides with. I've already ridden with these people. I've known them for years. I know which drivers know what they're doing, because I absolutely do not want to put any veteran in a car that's not safe, or, the driver isn't very experienced. Safety is obviously a very top priority for me. And I have a good relationship with these people. So they're like, I sometimes even get dedicated drivers. Like, we were at Slush Motorsports Festival, and I had two drivers that were taking the vets nonstop. Like, they would pull up to my tent and be like, "You got somebody? You got somebody? You got somebody?" I'm like, "Dude, you guys are the best, because like I don't have to chase down drivers. Like, you just like VIP'd it, and it's great." But the response is always 100% best time of their life. These veterans come in, some of them are very kind of, I don't know if you say shy, but definitely more introverted when they first arrive at the track. And, we're strangers when they first get there. But once they get in a drift car and they come out, I usually try to do an interview with them before and after, so you can see the difference in their demeanor. And it's like, "Have you ever been in a drift car?" And they're like, "Nope." I'm like, "Are you excited?" They're like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Okay." And then they get out of the car, and I'm like, "So how was it?" "That was the best thing ever. Oh my gosh." And they're just like, their whole everything about them, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I get more out of putting them in the car than me getting in the car myself. Like, when we were at Slush, I usually try to ride, quite often throughout the day, because not driving, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I want to be in the driver's seat, but until I get in the driver's seat, I'm enjoying the heck out of being in the passenger seat, doing a lot of video, filming, trying to build up my socials. But getting somebody, especially for the first time, getting somebody in the car and watching them come out of that car like they just had like a once in a lifetime experience is one of the greatest feelings I've ever felt. And I love that I can give that to them, and I hope that I can build this program so that I can do it on a much larger scale.
That sounds amazing. I can't even imagine. So I don't know exactly the drift track. How long is it?
So I mean, there's a lot of tracks that allow drifting,
Yeah.
and they're all different.
Okay.
There's one that I love going to. It's a lot smaller track, but it's a brand new track, so the pavement is really smooth. So I actually went down there. I rented a drift car and took it down there, and we drifted for 2 days. Me and another driver took turns driving it. And we were down there for 2 days and we did all of that on one set of tires,
Oh,
which
wow.
when you drift, you usually don't get more than like 10, 12 laps out of a set of tires. These high horsepower cars, they may only get 2 to 4 laps and their tires are done. Like it's yeah, and that's why I had to pick one of the most expensive sports when it comes to going
Yeah,
through tires.
yeah,
So
tires are
yeah,
not cheap.
so yeah, tire sponsor is definitely at the top of the list when it comes to the drifting program.
So I wanted to play little interview that you did, if you don't mind, and then after we play it,
Okay,
then can you just explain what it is a little bit, and then
sure.
tell us about the car too? All right, here we
Sounds
go.
good.
And tell us a little bit about your channel, Crazy Car Chick.
Right now I'm doing media, mostly in the drifting scene.
Right.
Anything to do with cars, bikes, trucks, anything with a motor basically. To gain attention to my channel, eventually I'll be driving and building a motorsports program for veterans.
Yep.
I'm in the process of building the first drift car for the program.
Yeah.
Real excited about that.
Nice.
I wish I could be out here right now, you know.
Yeah.
But we're hoping for September for Slush to
Nice.
debut the car.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too. I actually got the harness out of Chris Hill's car. He's the one with the crazy Mustang over there.
Okay,
You saw it?
the 777.
Yeah, 777
Yeah,
Drift.
yeah,
Yeah, he was taking them out, and he was like, "Who wants to buy these?" And I was like, "I need one for the drift car."
Nice, that works
Yeah,
out.
he
Then.
signed it for me and everything. It's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out Crazy Car Chick, right? YouTube,
Yep.
all the socials.
Yeah, all the socials.
Yeah, you can find her everywhere. So
Good to see you.
good to see you. Have a
Y'all
good
have
one.
fun.
That's awesome. I love that. You could just see your passion and the smile on your face is just so big. You can tell this is what you're meant to do.
And that's one of the people I've met. I met him at a car meet and we got to talking and he has a YouTube channel and he does all kinds of content, in the car scene, but he has just been such a great supporter. Like once you make that connection with some people, like he shares my stuff all the time. He popped in and did that interview. I was definitely not ready for it, but it turned out great. I love all the little the clips that he put in there. It was
Yeah.
awesome. So the little black car that you see with all the stickers, that is my autocross road course car. My daily driver actually went down a couple years ago. And so it went from being in this car that I was going to build like strictly for racing to my daily driver. So I figured I covered it in stickers to do advertising
There you
to
go.
get a lot of attention, which it definitely does. I have opened up a lot of conversations because of those stickers when it comes to veterans, when it comes to the motorsport stuff. It's a lot of people said I was crazy, and I was like, well, I mean, my name. I'm crazy in a lot of ways. I think most of them are good. But yeah, they said I was crazy. Like, you're not going to cover your car in stickers. And I was like, why not? Like, it's definitely going to suck to take them off, but it has been such a great journey with it. Now the Mustang, which was not on there, the Mustang that was in that video is kind of like my goal. Like
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that car. I'm a big Mustang girl. Like Mustang Cobra is my goal. Ford Performance is my goal. But right now we got donated a 95 GT Mustang from Graphic Effects and Slide Factory, which Graphic Effects does all the stickers on my car that are not donated stickers. I get a lot of people that just give me stickers now because they're like, here, you need some more stickers for your car. But the Mustang, it has been sitting for quite a while and it has no side windows. So it's completely tubbed out, which there's no interior whatsoever. It's just all painted metal on the inside. It has a steering wheel and a shifter, and that's it. Like right now, it's got a 2x4 for a seat. But it definitely. I was gonna try to rush it. Like me telling him that we were gonna try to have it ready in September was me just like pasting it together tuning it up a little bit and throwing it on the track. Well, I've decided that that's not the route that I wanted to go. Um, I've got a good friend of mine donating. He's going to donate his time to do some fabrication on the car. There are some rust spots that need to be tied up, and I need to make a special seat pedestal for me because I'm only 5'3" and I do not fit in almost any car. So he's gonna make a pedestal that makes the seat very adjustable because I do plan to have the 95 Mustang as a loaner car for veterans that are interested in learning how to drift. So I'm not gonna go completely crazy with building this car. I want to get it to be more stable and a good car for somebody that's wanting to learn. And then the goal would be for me to get another Mustang that I can build as my like main car, so I can give rides all day long and I can loan out the other one. So that's my first goal. But big goal is to have a whole fleet of different motorsports cars. I want to have go-karts. I want to have rally car, drag car, drift car. So if there's an event, we have something if somebody wants to go give it a shot.
That's awesome. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
So how does somebody connect with you if they're in that area and they could actually show up to be a part of this? How would they connect with you? What's the best way?
Absolutely. I am on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'd say to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram would probably be the easiest way. But everything is under Crazy Car Chick, and Chick is Chik. I have to say that because it will get spelled the proper way and it won't get you to where you need to go.
Right. So have you been picked up or sponsored by anybody to drive? Are you still hoping for that
I am in the process of I have to put together the whole program protocol. I've got a lot of the background paperwork stuff that I need to do that it's my least favorite part of this whole thing. I've actually been using Chat GPT to kind of help me put together basically my pitch to these bigger companies because it has to be a lot more professional when you're talking to Ford and some of these big parts companies. You can't just be like, hey, I want you to sponsor me. So I have actually touched base with Ford Performance, which I guess now it's called Ford Racing. I've touched base with their marketing representative, and he made it sound very potential that they like the idea of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna take that as a yes. I just have to get my ducks in a row. I would like to have a running car, even if it's not the best car. I would like to have a running Mustang so that I can pitch it to them like, this is what we have. I need to have a parts list for all the things that I want them to sponsor. It's a lot. I'm definitely overwhelmed with all of the things. But I know it's gonna happen because I'm one of those people that once I get my mind set on something, I just don't give up until it happens.
That's awesome. And that's the way you have to be. You have to be tenacious and relentless, and you've got to go after what you
Absolutely.
want because otherwise it doesn't happen. It doesn't usually come to you. You have to go breaking down the door to get your passion fueled and get it in front of people. You really just have to keep at it.
Absolutely, and that's what these interviews are great for. It's not only to help me get the resources for veterans out there, but also for people to see what it is I'm doing, and they might want to come on board, and they might not be able to sponsor me, but they may know, someone that I can get in touch with. Like, networking is definitely one of my favorite things to do. I like to be the face, the voice. And now I just need a paper pusher to do all the background stuff for me.
Right? Somebody
Like,
that
I'll
really
get the
likes that.
sponsors. I'll get the sponsors. You deal with the rest. Like, I'll make a good impression. You do all the paperwork.
Yeah, I think we all need an assistant that can just wrap everything up nicely for
Yes,
us so we can
yes. I'll
submit to
start. I'm a
somebody.
starter. I'm definitely a starter. So one of
Well,
the things that I actually wanted to touch on was that made me think of that was there's a retreat called Camp Southern Ground. And if a veteran is ever looking for, especially somebody that's in their transition, like out of the military into civilian life, it's an all paid, like all expenses paid trip and retreat. I want to say it's about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. They flew me out there. They put you in top of I'm talking about like 4-star hotel status. It's like it's kind of like I call it almost like a barracks, like you would in the military, but just very upscale. They have 4 or 5-star chefs making all the meals that are extremely healthy. And you get to connect with veterans, which for me was great because I kind of just disassociated from the military after I got out until I went to that retreat. And it really lit a fire under me with wanting to work with veterans. And that was part of this puzzle. And they were you go through this class training where you do learn your strengths and your weaknesses. And that's where I found out, like, don't feel bad that you're a starter. You're not a finisher, because there needs to be starters. There needs to be people with your strengths. Don't worry about your weaknesses. Like, the fact that you're not good with paperwork is not that important. Like, focus on what you're good at. So yeah, that's definitely a resource that I would like to get out there.
So what was the name of that organization?
Camp Southern Ground. It's
Camp
actually it was
Southern
founded by Zach Brown of the Zach Brown Band.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
I believe they have 100 acres of land out there. And I mean, the facility is top notch. He spared no expense to build
Wow.
that place. Yeah, beautiful experience.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's definitely something for someone to take advantage of, if they have opportunity, or if they're in the area or can get there, I guess. That's really awesome. So I agree with you that it takes a team, and not every member of the team needs to be good at everything, but they need to be good at something that keeps the team working. So just because you're not strong in paperwork and somebody else has, I mean, that's how you complement one another, and that's how you build a good network, is having all these people that do things well. You don't all have to do the same thing or be smart on the same thing. You just have to be smart on the thing that you're passionate about, and then all the other pieces will fit into that puzzle, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how would somebody, if they're trying to get into any kind of racing, what would be your suggestion? Is there another network to plug into? I know there's yours in the Tennessee area. Is
Yeah.
there like a a network or a connection that in other places, or how should somebody start?
Yeah, honestly, the SCCA is a great place for anybody that's interested in racing at all. They do autocross and road course and rally. Honestly, autocross is a great way to start, because you don't have to have the best tires, you don't have to have the best car. You can just go out there and give it your all, and then really see if that's something that you want to go after. The races are relatively cheap. I think it's like $60 to $80 to run a race. And it's not very hard on your car. It didn't use up a whole lot of tires when I was doing it. I think you can, if you're doing it, on their schedule, I'd say you could probably make 1 or 2 sets of tires last all year doing
Oh,
autocross. So, and that's a lot of people to say, either go-karts or autocross is a great way to get started, just to feel the bug of racing and getting out on the grid and meeting people and stuff like that. It's a great way to get started, for sure.
how many people have you met, big drivers, since you're in this world now? How many have you met, and are they really supportive of having you in that racing?
Well, a lot of the stuff I do is grassroots, which is just like the local level. I've met quite a few just very briefly in the pits when it comes to like F1, I think, um, NASCAR. I've met a few drift car drivers, but I don't really go to, like, FD is like the top level of competitive racing and drifting. And I've never been to an FD event. I'm at the grassroots level, so I meet a couple of them. But they're all, as soon as I tell anybody, it doesn't matter what kind of racing they're into. Anytime I bring up the fact that I'm trying to help veterans get out on the track, it's an immediate, what can I do? What can I do to help? Like Fierce Motorsports, which is run by a female friend of mine. She rents out her car for rallycross, and she helped me get out there and gave me all kinds of tips and pointers about rally because I had never tried it before. And actually, when I drove her car, it was 20 years from the last time I drove a stick. And so I told her, I said, "Can I take it out in the field and just go in a circle or something? Because I don't even know if I can do this." And she was like, "Oh, girl, you got it." And so I went out to the field and she filmed me, and I'm sitting there. I'm so nervous. I don't want to stall it. You feel like so embarrassed.
Right.
But I did it. I ripped it, and it was like getting back on a bike. Like it wasn't hard at all. But she only charged me like $100 for the day to drive her car. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah,
That's a deal.
everybody's been really supportive.
I figured they would. I was just curious what kind of support you have, because we talked about the military wise that, back in the day, females weren't really like thought of as being serious soldiers or being serious
Yeah.
in the uniform. And so I was just curious how you're received on that end of it by some of the
Well,
drivers and
touching on that, when I first went up to the TRS, which is the Tennessee region, SCCA, when I first went up to their tent at Cars and Coffee, I passed by the tent like 6 times. Because I had not, up until that point, even though I'd been going to Cars and Coffee for several years, I had kind of kept to myself because in my 20s, when I was in the automotive, getting into racing and getting around cars, I was not welcomed at all. Like they were like, who's your man? You're out here trying to get men's attention." And I was like, "No, I love when the cars scream and go fast. Like I don't care about the guys. Like I'm here for the cars."
right.
So I'm not gonna lie, it took a lot. I'm a very outgoing person, but you, as a woman, like when you have those negative interactions, it makes it harder and harder for you to open up. And so I passed by the tent like 6 times, and I was like, "Nope, I'm just gonna go home." I don't, because the tent was nothing but dudes. I think there was like 10 guys kind of like huddled in a circle, and they're all talking, and I was like, "I'm about to have to go interrupt all these men to ask them about racing." But they were so nice. And after that, I started talking to everybody. I started going up to all the vendors, introducing myself, and I've been doing that for 3 years now. And it's now when I pull up to Cars and Coffee, everybody knows me, and it's the greatest feeling ever because you go from feeling like an outcast to somebody that has literally been shunned. Literally
Yeah.
had people try to heckle you away and tell you that you're not cut out. Um, when I first mentioned racing, I had a lot of men that would laugh and just be like, "Ha ha ha, that's funny. Good dream." And
Yeah.
and that fuels me. Like I'm like, "Okay, now I really need to make it happen because I want to make you eat your words." Like,
I love that.
like, don't tell me I can't do something because I'll do it tomorrow.
I love that. I love your tenacity, and I love that, you even it's kind of a man's world, so to speak, when it comes to racing and things like that. And the Army was at one time. I don't think it still is. I think there's enough female service members now that it's not a man's army anymore. It's an army of all kinds of people. So I think the racing too at one time was just a man's world, like you say, and now it's being integrated, and now females are accepted more into the racing scene. We still don't have a lot of female
No,
racers,
no,
but
but
it's definitely
That,
better.
that's a big thing for me is I love to hopefully inspire the next generation of females that are interested in cars to not be scared. There is enough of us. I mean, honestly, if you can see one or two girls at the track, it just makes you feel better because like you're not alone. So being out there and putting myself out there, I hope that it's showing, even older women. Like, I didn't start this till I was 40 years old. Like, you don't have to, you don't have to be in your 20s. You don't have to be a guy anymore. I would love to see those numbers double in the next couple years, because there are some that are still down in like the 2 to 5%. Go-karting is actually the number one for females at 30%.
Wow.
I would love to see drifting become, at least 20% here soon. We are starting to see some females on the podium. I think, was it Amanda Sorensen, I believe is her name, took the podium not too long ago. She's an amazing driver, and she seems to be a powerhouse when it comes to, female power. Like, out there ripping it like hard, and that's such an inspiration for me too.
Definitely. Well, Eva said there were 7 of us last weekend. Please share her contact info with me for the next year's event. So she wants to get in touch with you. So maybe you can come out where she is, or
Oh,
just
absolutely.
engage with that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely do that. Yeah, she had a great time doing rally. She said that rally was so much fun. So
Oh,
she
it
did that
is.
rally for vets. Yeah, I always
So is
wanted
it
to
like a
drive
rally
too.
cross event?
I don't know. We'll have to get her to
Like
answer that.
like a driving event?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is. It's probably rally cross.
Yeah. I know when I was younger, I always wanted to be Shirley Muldowney, or I wanted to be somebody like that. I always wanted to get in a car and go. I think my favorite was drag racing. That was probably my favorite. And always wanted a good car that could go. My uncles always had super neat cars. They had Nomads and 57s, and they had all these cars that I was so interested in. They had Mustangs, and I was like, yeah, let's build a car. Let's go. And my other
Yes.
uncle had a Road Runner, and they were all ready to race. And then I had a 70 Cuda at 440 with a 6-pack, and boy, it screamed. And I had lots of fun in that. I beat a lot of Corvettes in that car. I tell you what, till
Heck
it fell
yeah.
apart.
Gotta put those Corvettes in their place sometimes. They think they rule it.
Right. No, that Mopar, it hit it hard, and yeah, they couldn't keep up.
No, speaking of drag racing, that was actually the thing that started me loving motorsports. My early 20s, the first motorsports event I ever went to was drag racing. I mean, the first all it took was the first car to start burning tires, and I was like, "Yep, I like this.
Right, sign me up.
Sign me up. Where do I get one of those cars?"
Right. Yeah, I would still like to drive. My sons were always saying, one of my sons is a mechanic, and he said, "Well, Mom, we'll fix the car for you. You just drive it." And I'm like, "All right,
Yes.
deal. Let's go."
Yes. That's the deal I need. I need a pit crew that, like, I pull in. If there's something wrong, they fix it and get me back out there. That's I'll do
Right.
my job, you do your job.
Absolutely. Let's go. Oh gosh, it's been so much fun talking to you. We have about 3 minutes left. And so I just wanted to open up the floor for anything you might want to say, or anything you might want to put out about racing, or about how, we already kind of talked about how somebody gets involved. But is there anything else you wanted to say? And your contact information's there.
Absolutely. I like to always touch on the mental health aspect, because that is my main focus in all of this, is to make sure that veterans know that there are resources out there, many of which that have literally saved my life and changed my life in so many ways for the better. The big one we've already touched on was Camp Southern Ground. That was
Yes.
the catalyst to my whole healing journey. But 220 is just such a wonderful program for veterans and first responders and their families. They do what I like to call a PTSD decompression session. You don't have to discuss any details of your past, which makes it so easy for a lot of people that don't want to talk about the things that they've been through. It's basically just like a breathing and visualization exercise that resets your brain, kind of releases you from all those physical triggers that you get from your memories. And I'm telling you, I was at my breaking point when I was connected with 220, and I mean, it's been 3 years since my session, and it just keeps getting better. My brain is functioning better every month. It just seems like I'm seeing that I'm more confident. I have more energy. I'm more focused. Like everything has just gotten absolutely amazing. So that is one of the resources that I absolutely have to put out there every single time I talk to somebody. It's the number 22 spelled out 0.org. They will get right back to you if you want to reach out and talk to somebody. If you want to hear more about what the session is, feel free to reach out to me. I love talking to people about my journey. And then just kind of thanking some of the people that I've worked with. There's Track Day for Veterans. They help veterans get out on the track also. They help pay for entry fees. They recently brought me out for a VIP NASCAR experience. Was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I got to hang out in the pits with one of the drivers. They treated us like complete VIPs. I mean, drinks and they made food for us. They treated us like family. So that was awesome. I have Check a Vet, which is the one that I'm going to be partnering with, hopefully to start taking some donations and get this program off the ground. They do awareness for PTSD. Let's see what we got. I always draw a blank. I usually have my little cheat sheet with me. Big thanks to Graphic Effects in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're one of my biggest supporters. Slide Factory, if you're looking to get into drifting, is a great resource. And then I've got Veterans Trust, which they are also another motorsports related nonprofit for vets. And they're based down in Florida. They do a couple events in a couple different places. And I will be filming part of a docu-series with Make the Connection, which is sponsored by the VA. It's veterans telling their stories of overcoming mental health struggles. We should be filming first week of November, I believe. So if you check out their page and keep an eye on that, you will probably see me at the track. And I don't know exactly what we're going to be filming, but I promise you it's going to be something good.
Sounds good. I can't wait. I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we need to go, but I just wanted to thank you for being on the platform today, for sharing your journey to racing, and then just kind of sharing some tips with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, have a good day. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks. Tracer Rounds out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.